This is the PoolTogether Community Podcast. PoolTogether is the world's #1 no-loss prize savings account, and you can visit PoolTogether.com to deposit.
You're listening to the PoolTogether Community Podcast.
I'm your host, Hot Mike, aka Tim, aka I'm a hacker now because I did ETH Tokyo Hackathon. That makes me technically non-technical. I don't know, but I'm here with Casio from Dopex, and I'm super pumped about this podcast because we're going to learn so much and we're going to have so much fun. Casio, thanks for making time for us. So let's start off as we always start off and hear your origin story. You're the main character. I guess no one wants to be the main character on crypto Twitter, but let's just say you're the main character right now. How'd you get into crypto? And then if you want to continue and wrap the story in, how did Dopex start?
Sure. So I think per se, I dive into crypto pretty early. I'll say in 2013, like I was actually mining Bitcoin and Dogecoin from our like computer labs at a university. But it was just sort of like a silly game for us and just more of like, oh, this is a pretty cool like technology, but never like, went pretty crazy at that time. It was just more of a curiosity. And then later on, I'll say around 2020, I guess, I was doing a lot of like options trading on Web2. And then I sort of like thought like, hey, I see there's a lot of like, degening on crypto and Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I decided like to just take a look at what was happening. And I thought it was just way more fun than trading traditional stocks. So I kind of like started pretty much just trying like understand what the heck this whole like DeFi stuff was, like playing different like games on Polygon and other like up and coming chains. And then I kind of like try to find like a project that would let me do what I was doing on Web2 pretty much, which is like options. And that's sort of like I, became a community member of our pretty much the project. And then a couple of months later, I joined the team as the lead product manager. And I've been with Dopex pretty much almost like 2 years now. And pretty much, I guess the summary is like Dopex is an options platform on Arbitrum where we let you buy and sell crypto options such as Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dopex, and soon to come Arbitrum as well. So yeah, that's like on the high level per se.
And what's the origin story for Dopex?
So Dopex became from our founders are TC and Witterblock. Both of them are pretty technical. Like they're pretty much like coders and hackers and have been like working on Solidity, like, since the early days. And pretty much, they were, at least TC was like a hardcore, like derivatives, like user, right? And he kind of like understood that there was like a gap or that needed to be filled on the option space in crypto. So he's been working on this project for a couple of years now, like way before like, Dopex, and he just decided like, hey, we're going to build this, set up the team. And pretty much we started like, I'll say, 2021, I'll say was when we first launched our first like options product. And pretty much the idea of what makes us different, I'll say, is that we kind of like more like in the research and development side of things, that we have this idea that I think we can build with options, and we just kind of like, test it out in the public and see how it like, what feedback we can get, and like kind of like build the product that is packaged in a way that any noob and degen can understand, because options, they're complicated. Like it's not as easy as just traditional like derivatives like, GMX or like Bybit. There's a lot of more complexity around it. So like our main focus is to make it as super easy as possible for users to use options without them even thinking they're using options per se. That's like the main goal of the platform.
So why Arbitrum?
So, first of all, like at the time that we were building this, rollups were not yet like a full thing. So we first launched our first contracts on mainnet, but pretty much they were just like farm contracts, but realized right away that there's no way you can have options products on mainnet because the gas cost is just prohibitive and will pretty much eat all of your profits as an options trader. So Arbitrum was that first rollup project that, kind of like opened the gates for anyone that wanted to build on layer twos. and we were like super hyped to launch. And so it was like, hey, why we don't just like launch an Arbitrum? And they were pretty supportive with us, and they were still like pretty strong partners. And today, I believe like the Arbitrum community in the sense of derivatives is pretty, united, and we kind of like all want to help each other out in any way that we can, pretty much.
So how do you make options simple? My best friend got into options in 2021, like stock options, and was trying to get me into it too. And I was like, and we were trying to understand it, and like he's way ahead. He got in like a secret Discord group or something, and was able to watch a trader with a Bloomberg terminal make some like pretty crazy keystroke trades on Tesla, that sort of stuff. And it's super intimidating, but also like I really want to understand it. And so I'm glad we're talking today, because you're going to teach us all, and we're all going to grasp it after you, Casio, give us the options lesson. But if you could do that. And then I have another question, because apparently like selling options is where it's at. Like it's not as risky. So I wonder if Dopex covers that, but go for it. Can you what are options?
Right. I was just going to give you like, I guess the most high level explanation as they can. So pretty much options are financial derivatives that gives the buyers the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell an underlying asset at a agreed upon price and date. And they're like, different types of options. You can buy American options and European options. American options let you pretty much sell the option at any time, while in the European options you have to wait until the expiry date pretty much to sell that or to exercise that option per se. So I kind of like treat options as insurance, let's say, and that's like the best way. Like at least I play with options that way. And also, it's to, let's say, sort of like you will use options as a way to hedge pretty much your positions that you might have. So let's say you might have bought right now. Let's say Ethereum is almost like climbing to 2K, and you just like ape into, but you are a little bit nervous, and you might think it might crash, to 1600 or something like that. So you might buy some put options, let's say at a lower price that might give you some hedge, in the sense that if Ethereum actually crashes, you can like sell that Ethereum on a higher price, because that's what was agreed upon at the time of that option insurance or purchase per se. So that's kind of like a way like I try to explain. It's just like insurance, depending if you're longing or shorting. Like you can play these like with these contracts to help you reduce the impact that it might have on your positions.
And then perpetuals, they are an agreed upon price, but not time, right? It's perpetual. So there's no expiration date. Does Dopex also handle those?
Yeah, we have some sort of those projects, but yeah, and also in perpetuals, you can get liquidated, right? With options, you can't. Like there's like no liquidations with options per se. So that's like
you're either paying the fee, or you're exercising the option, or you're selling the option.
Right. And and on Dopex, users can buy and sell options, so you can do both actions per se.
Okay, so there's also like, I'm looking here at your site, there's staking yield, there's different things available. And so with this new version of PoolTogether, it's the PoolTogether hyperstructure. Up until now, or with V4 of PoolTogether, you can only deposit USDC, and the yield source for that USDC is Aave. And that's on Mainnet, Avalanche, Polygon, and Optimism right now. In hyperstructure, we're going for any token, any yield source, and then ideally as many chains as possible as we are able to roll it out. And so when you deposit into PoolTogether, all of the yield goes into a prize pool, and then prizes are distributed based on the yield, the total yield of the pool. So this is going to be pretty sweet, right? So our Arbitrum pool, we're going to our Arbitrum. It's happening. That's not alpha. I mean, it's alpha because it hasn't happened yet, but we are definitely going there at launch. And so, there's going to be a whole prize pool of all this yield being collected on Arbitrum that will be given out to depositors on PoolTogether. So I'm wondering, like with Dopex, there's ways to get yield on Dopex that isn't necessarily options trading?
So yeah, like I will be careful when I say like how you can make deal with options, because some people might just like you're pretty much just selling volatility. But yeah, there's there's a lot of strategies that we have on our platform. And also we have some incentivized vaults, that users can deposit their assets and receive, rewards like based upon that. Say, we have partnership with Lido and we have this wrap stake ETH vault where pretty much you can deposit and, you're getting the native yield from ETH staking, but also you're getting like rewards plus any options fees that you have made if those options were bought with your assets. So that's sort of like 3 sources of yield you might get by depositing assets on Dopex, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that's one example that I can give you, like how some people like play with our platform.
Well, but I would assume that you would need to provide liquidity, right? Or like this is the same thing as selling options, right? So to be able to sell an option, you have to have like the stock, or you have to have the thing that the person has the option to buy.
Yeah, because all of our options are collateralized, with assets. Yeah,
that's right. So for those who are providing collateral for that, right? You need collateral, and you need people to provide that collateral, right? That gains yield, correct?
Right. Yeah, we incentivize like our major assets. So so like kind of like to sort of like help with the trade-off of any risk that writers or depositors might get. Because crypto like prices go up and down a lot. So like we
totally.
kind of like provide those incentives to kind of like make it a little bit more attractive, pretty much to liquidity providers to use our platform.
Okay, this is awesome. So basically, if I'm providing liquidity to Dopex on Arbitrum and in one of these main tokens, right? Like so ETH or ARB or whatever is high traffic, right? There could conceivably be a PoolTogether vault that is like the ETH Dopex being the yield source pair or whatever that's called. I don't know what what we're going to actually call that. But yeah, the ETH Dopex vault. So that's possible, and that means that vault, any locked volume on that vault would be providing liquidity to Dopex on ETH, and then the yield from that would then be converted into pool in the prize pool and given out to anybody on Arbitrum as prizes. So this could be done. The issue is that PoolTogether vaults in the new hyperstructure need to be ERC 4626. And so you can wrap yield sources. At least I understand that you are able to wrap them in a 4626 wrapper. But anyway, so it's possible. So you're saying there's a chance.
No, right. Like this is possible, and we're also using that token standard like for other like new products per se. So yeah, like in theory you can build, let's say, a PoolTogether options vault. I would just, be pretty clear on the risks as always. But yeah, like pretty much you can gain yield on because I'm a power user. Like I'm always the guy that's always providing liquidity on our vaults, and yeah, that's just sort of like a way for me to also like generate yield on the side as well to make my assets more productive per se.
But the risk there is just the token price going up and down, right?
Right.
Or like vulnerability. Like hacking or something.
Exactly. But let's say sort of like you're always going to be up. Let's say if you buy, let's say DPX or token Dopex and you write options for, let's say a $300 strike price that expires, May 31st, right? I don't know if May has 31 days, but let's say the last day of May, pretty much.
Right.
Right. So let's say at that time, at the end of that day, let's say Dopex skyrocketed to say $500 per se, you will lose some of the underlying asset, but you're still going to be up on USD dollar value because you're going to gain premiums from some of those options that, let's say, you might have cap. You're like on profits, but you're still in profit, right? Like it's not you're going to lose if your assets go up. It's just that you cap that profit per se, and you're always going to be up on US dollars.
Well, I guess my issue though is like so PoolTogether is no loss, right? So whatever you deposit in to withdraw out 1 for 1. So it doesn't. So ideally, you can't lose the token that you're depositing. So like, what is it called? Impermanent loss is not good. Like that cannot be a PoolTogether deposit. So I think what you're saying is like, yes, you're not. It's no loss, right? In that way, like if I put in 5 ETH. For liquidity, I'm going to be able to take out 5 ETH. Yeah?
No, you will, if let's say there's gonna be some, I don't want to say loss, it's pretty much you just sold part of that Ethereum. Like pretty much like when you're like rider, you're pretty much saying that, hey, I'm gonna sell these assets at this agreed upon price. So that's sort of like how it works. But there's strategies that you can use to always kind of like hedge against that. So like, and we have other partners that have done it before. And, like I'm going to give a shout out to Jones DAO, but like pretty much they have vaults already for this, for products where people pretty much deposit Ethereum or Dopex and they get X amount of yield pretty much per week or per month based on per vault. And, there's different strategies that you can use to kind of like be delta neutral in that sense. So you minimize, as I want to say, it's 100% bulletproof. Like you're not gonna have impermanent loss on the underlying asset, but it's sort of like it's a risk that you're doing with options. But we have different products that you can still provide, let's say single-sided, let's say assets, and with no impermanent loss. It's pretty much like per se. And okay. I can talk about those like further on in the future, but because they're about to be released pretty much this
nice
this week and next month. But yeah, like I'm actually I've been tested in, and yeah, like pretty much I've been getting a lot of like good yield on USDC and Arbitrum per se. But yeah, at least with option bonds, there's always like a little bit more risk involved in that sense.
Well, don't let me stop you for giving us that alpha. Please tell us what's up, what's about to be released.
So right now, our option bonds, they're pretty like limited on in the sense that they're pretty good, like sort of like get started with options in the sense that, you select the strike price and how many assets you want to buy or deposit, right? But that's not as capital efficient as possible, and also kind of like locks your assets for like a week or a month, depending on the bulb. So at Dopex, we're coming up with 2 new cool products that I think they're gonna bring more fees and volume to the platform, and also 2 is gonna be pretty pretty good for depositors and option buyers, as we're gonna have more liquidity, more strike prices, and let's say ways like for people to pretty much to be more productive or more capital efficient with their assets, right? So we kind of like launch option scalps last month on sort of like a beta and a tournament. No, I want to say tournament, a competition, I'll say. Pretty much like scalps is as close as possible as let's say using perpetuals, but we pretty much just have scalps up to 1 hour, and you can have 110x leverage on it. So if you want to do scalps between Ethereum and Arbitrum, like you can go to dopex.com right now and use scalps for that. And that's pretty much just lets you do leverage under 100x for those assets. It's a little bit degen, right? But it's one of the products that we just launched. And the next one that I'm pretty excited about is called 0-day option spreads. We pretty much let you buy or sell options that expire every single day. They are pretty popular on, let's say, Web2 or like regular option stocks. So we're kind of like bringing that to the crypto space. And that should be launching on either pretty much this week. That's going to be launching.
Okay, I love that. Definitely giving my bestie this podcast in trying to encourage him to come back to crypto. But I have to know, for somebody who's a depositor into PoolTogether, who plays it safe, who is no loss, prize focused person, how could they interact? What's your suggestion for how they could use Dopex and try it out and explore in like the least non-degen way possible? What does that look like?
Right now, yeah, I mean, I will say the most non-degen way, I'll say, is, depending how on your knowledge of options, right? Like I think that's like the first thing, like try to like dive your feet first. I think our option vaults that we have right now live are pretty, they're gonna give you sort of like the baby steps on how to like understand options. And I also like the strategy that 99% safe in the sense that you're not gonna lose your assets. It's just depositing on the farthest out of the money strike price. So let's say usually like our vaults let's say Ethereum is at $2,000, right? So for that month, we're gonna have strike prices for 2,000, maybe 2,500, maybe 2,900, and maybe like 3,000, right? Like 3,000, like so you will kind of like deposit on the farthest ODM that's called out of the money, right? Strike price. Because if you bet that it's highly likely that Ethereum is going to go up, let's say 30% that week, you will just deposit on that week, gain the yield, gain any option premiums. And it's the safest strategy that most of our users also do because it carries the less risk. And I don't think in the history of Dopex, what the farthest ODM strike price has ever like lost in money. The only time that happened was with the Luna crash when we had Luna option puts. That pretty much the guy that bought all the Luna options, made all the money in our platform. But mostly like for OTM strike prices is the easiest and most safest strategy, I'll say, because I don't think it has ever happened so far on our platform that the asset goes 75% on a week and people lose money on that because still you're gonna make profits from the option premiums that anyone that had bought those options. So you make money with the yield that we provide as incentive and any option premium. And that's one of the strategies that I would say any PoolTogether community member can jump into and they're gonna feel confident that their assets are gonna be there when they withdraw.
Comfy is nice. Comfy in crypto is very nice. So how does Dopex grow? So right now you're at 27.38 million TVL, 54 million market cap. What is like the next, like 100 million look like? How do you get there?
Right. So I'll say that at least, the whole option space that's taking hit on this bear market, I'll say like most TPL went down like drastically, right? We used to, during like the bull market, like people are more degen and they like to, trade more. There's more volatility. So like on high volatility timeframes, that's when we gather more users and fees percent volume and TVL. But I'll say, right, like our strategy right now, just kind of like keep building our products that we're betting that are going to get product market fit across crypto, streamlining our UI to make it as normie friendly as possible. And pretty much, also keep our partnerships with our market makers, going and helping them out to provide liquidity and also arbitrage with our platform. So they can also do a lot of like volume and trades with us are sort of like ways for us that we're kind of like betting, to get more users in TVL, but also like me as a visionary, I guess what I'm thinking is that whenever we go from that 0 to 1 and, moment on crypto where people would like to do DeFi on their phones more than on desktops, I think, we're gonna onboard like the next 10 million users onto crypto per se. So like people, because right now I will say like most people use their desktop like to do most of their DeFi transactions. Once we have that, I guess, mobile moment, I believe that more people are gonna be more comfortable like trading on their phones, and it's gonna be easier to onboard more people as well to platforms.
So right now you're on Arbitrum and you have your own app, but is there expansion to other chains and layers, embedding Dopex or adding Dopex features to wallets, any sort of things like that on the horizon?
Right. So right now our hub is Arbitrum, right? But we have deployed on other like EVM chains such as AVAX. We have also like launched Binance Smart Chain. And right now we are actively on Polygon as well, the POS chain. And we are looking forward to launch under CK EVM as well, some products with the Matic team. Like we're like pretty much close with the Polygon team as well. So we want to work also with their DeFi, partners and such, so we can bring options to Polygon per se. So right now, our big main focuses are Arbitrum and Polygon per se.
And then what about like other apps, integrations, that sort of thing? I'm asking because like this is what I do at PoolTogether is I just go talk to right. different anybody that we can partner with and think about like how to get the PoolTogether, how to give users of other apps and wallets and such access to PoolTogether so that they don't have to come to our site, So yeah, any other plans to do that?
Yeah, we have partnerships with different like DeFi protocols, let's say, such as Jones, DAO, and Plutus. We also have products that are built, on top of GMX that we might integrate more like tightly with GMX as well on their UI and on in our UI as well. And partnerships with apps per se, we right now Dopex is targeting most of the Asian markets and Middle East markets. So we have partnerships with the wallets that target like those markets in specific per se, like wallet integrations per se, let's say.
Cool. Got it. Okay. So, are we still in a bear market? Are we in a bull market? What's the future look like according to Casio for crypto?
Nice. So at least I think we're like in a pretty strange time, right? But I'm always bullish on the space, right? Like I'm always bullish that this is the place that most people, I don't want to say like our grandmaster dads are gonna be using DeFi anytime soon, but at least our generation are gonna be more comfortable, like working with DeFi without they even knowing that they're doing DeFi. And there's a lot of smart people out there, trying to like make it scalable and accessible to the world. So in the development side, I'm super bullish. On the market side, and it is what it is. Like I'll just go day by day. I'm a pretty risk adverse type of user. I'm like the boomer guy on my team. Well, most of the people are degening. I'm like just buying Bitcoin and Ethereum and like maybe like at one like alt per se, and just keep accumulating through the markets and writing options as a DeFi strategy per se. But I think we're like in a much better place than where we were on last quarter, like on Q4 last year, where everyone was just zooming with like what else can go wrong, right? So I think we're like past like the worst that can happen on the crypto like space right now. Like the only I guess headwinds that I can feel about is like the Mt. Gox Bitcoin like selling and any other like regulation that the SEC might come through. But I think like actors such as Coinbase and are doing like are going in the right path to like challenge the SEC. So we can definitely have clarity. So that also is gonna help every DeFi like project out there like to know how to go across like regulation and stuff. So overall, I think this year is just gonna be a lot of uncertainty on like where we're going. But I think overall like the future is bright. Maybe like this year we're just gonna be it's gonna be a crap market like for the rest of the year. Who knows? But I'm betting that there's gonna be more users on layer 2s. I think we're gonna have more let's say more activity on CK chains as well, and that are pretty much optimistic rollups are gonna mature a little bit more and hopefully take the training wheels off and become a little bit more decentralized in on the pad per se. So at least that's like what I'm betting.
Yeah, long-term bullish. I love that you're building. You're responsible. You're the non-degen of the group, Casio. I appreciate that. holding it down, being the stability. What's your event strategy look like? Because there's so many events. Oh my gosh. And I got to go to East Tokyo, my first hackathon. It was really sweet. It was a really cool experience. I went to East Denver this year, but then looking at the rest of the calendar and like some events they're just being announced now. So I don't know if you have an event strategy as far as growing the protocol.
So events, we did go to Dubai. Like most of the team was there like last month. And per se, at least I cannot talk about the team, but at least myself, I'm gonna be traveling more next year for more Ethereum events. So like I really want to go to ETHCC and all such of events as well any other like Asian related events in the future. But this year, like I'm not like kind of like I have some personal stuff that I need to get sorted out first before I can start traveling to like all these team events. But like at least where I live, we have a pretty like a solid crypto community. A lot of like builders and VCs are like pretty much like like a couple of blocks away from where I live. So that's pretty cool. Like people can just chime in, go to dinner, like talk about pitch ideas, build a project across. So pretty bullish. Like that's why I'm pretty bullish, because like the people that I meet, like in real life, they're like really smart and like they're building in the space pretty cool stuff. So yeah, I can imagine like how, like the energy, like when it comes to like these big Ethereum events per se.
When you said ECC, you don't mean next month, you mean next year? Or
Yeah, next year, because I try to buy tickets for this year, but like I guess I'm pretty late for that. But yeah, next year, hopefully, 2024, Casio is gonna be traveling more like for the Ethereum events.
Okay, nice. And it's not having a booth, it's just actually just attending the events and kind of like schmoozing. It's not
both,
necessarily having the booth you'll have a booth.
No, I mean, yeah, we have done booths like at least for you to buy. And
Right.
I'll say like every crypto event that I go, socially, it's supposed to be dinner, but I end up just pitching to BCs and market makers our options platform. It's like the arbitrage opportunities that we have. So yeah, like I'm always like on sales mode when it comes to Dopex.
Totally. That's you're good at your job, Casio. That's great. Cool. Well, hey, listen, I just appreciate you spending time with the Pool Together community. I know that Richard in the chat is going to go out and try Dopex today. Loves the name. It's dope. That's the second time I've heard that joke today. It was good. And Casio, any parting thoughts or words that you wanted to promote? Anything coming up or things that we might have missed in this discussion?
Sure. So also like I mentioned that we have this brand new product that we just launched called like Option Scalps. So we are running weekly competitions with 5K pool prices for the best traders. They're the most profitable on the scalps that week. We're gonna be running that for the unforeseen future, and also we were part of like the gracious DeFi projects that got a good Arbitrum allocation. So we're gonna be launching Arbitrum focused products pretty soon. Like I will say like next week. So there's gonna be a lot of incentivization. If you have some Arbitrum on your wallet and you want to like make it more productive, you can come to our platform and write options with Arbitrum, but also like trade like options for Arbitrum as well. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Very cool. Love those ARB rewards. All right, so that's next week. So is the option scalping in like on testnet, and so it's or it's like
live.
It's live. Oh, it's live.
Yeah,
okay, so then it's like a competition with live money, and you could
there's
win.
a leaderboard, scoreboard. You can see how much you're losing, how much you're making, and that's another like I guess option strategy. Like if you want to like park your USDC or Ethereum, you can park it on the scalps platform, and there's no permanent loss per se. You're just making option fees. And like just with some smart contract risk, but also the risk is pretty minimized. Like with like high volatility on the market, it's not gonna like make you lose your like underlying asset per se.
Okay, all right, Casio, thanks for joining us. This has been awesome.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure to be with the Pool Together community today.
All right, up only. Here we go to the moon.
Here we go.
Take care.
Have a good one, sir.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Together Community Podcast. You can visit PoolTogether.com to deposit, and we'd love to hear what you thought about today's episode. So visit the Pool Together Discord and let us know.